Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Sisko,
Hi, this is Mike.
and welcome to the Cisco and the Mike podcast. Today, we have a reporter joining us today. We're going to be talking about the media, talking about his life, growing up in San Diego, and a bunch of other things. Chris, thank you for coming.
Welcome.
We appreciate you having you. I know it's Sunday, and it's a rainy day, actually, so thank you for making the trip out.
No, thank you guys for having me, and I really appreciate and respect the work you guys are doing. It's very cool studio and everything. So thank you.
No, thank you. Thank you. We've been getting that compliment a lot lately.
It's all thanks to Cisco. He likes to decorate. Every week I come here and something's added, so I'm like, oh shit.
That's my side hustle, interior decorator.
Yeah.
But so Chris, you actually grew up in San Diego, right?
Yes.
You were telling us that you grew up around the border area.
Yeah, I'm a border child. I was born and raised in San Diego, but I crossed over to TJ a lot because my family was there, and so I got the best of both worlds, I would say.
Oh, nice. I think a lot of my family members do the same thing. They live in TJ and they work in San Diego, so
Nice.
it's like a new means. I mean, rent here is ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
That's been becoming even more common ever since the prices have gone crazy.
yeah,
In the States. Like people just live, like you said, live in TJ, work in San Diego. I did that when I was in college, actually, because I was in college in San Diego and I would live in TJ and cross over. But before college, I just lived in San Diego. I would just visit family members in TJ.
Gotcha.
so actually it's becoming more of a thing. People are just not even just TJ anymore, because everything's remote. A lot of jobs are remote. People are moving to like Mexico City and
Yeah.
other places in Mexico just to get away from these rents. So it's crazy. It might be the future.
Cool.
That's actually, I don't know if you guys have heard, it's becoming a problem for some people. Like in the small towns or in Mexico City, which
Yeah.
is, not a small town, but
Yeah.
because of the influx of,
Because a lot of the people are going from here to there and staying past, like, not as visitors anymore. They're basically becoming residents. It's kind of like they're becoming illegal immigrants there, correct? And then it affects the economy
That's what I was gonna say.
because these people are bringing in money from here, which they have more, and then it affects the local people because things go up, and the poor people are not going to be able to. Well, not the poor people, but the people that don't make as much money as the people that make money here, they can't afford shit, right? Yeah, I've heard about that. The little communities,
Yeah.
little towns all
Well,
over Mexico.
a lot of them are getting like, even gentrified by like more American standards.
Yeah.
Like you go to Mexico City, you see the Roma Norte, Roma Sur areas, and it's like you're here.
and you hear English speakers everywhere. But you know what? To be honest, that's actually an issue that has been happening for decades in TJ
True.
and San Diego. Like Rosarito, everything. It's like American communities. Prices are, have gone up since forever. The rents, you have to pay them in dollars, US dollars.
That's crazy.
In Tijuana.
In Tijuana.
Yeah.
Holy
And
shit.
so we're kind of used to it. I mean, at least the border community, we're used to that, seeing that. And I know here too, right? I mean, in LA, Silver Lake, Echo Park,
Yep.
they've gone through gentrification. So.
A lot of there's Lincoln Heights now starting to go through it
Yeah,
too.
Lincoln
So
Heights, yeah.
that's crazy. So, like on the border, you worked to San Diego. When did you realize? You told me you wanted to get into political science, and was it politics that you were kind of driven for, or is it something growing up in the border town that kind of pushed you into like reporting or kind of being out in the community?
Initially, when I went to college for political science, my dream was to become a politician and just help people, help my community. But I also I took just out of coincidence, I took a class, a media relations class, or international media, and I fell in love with it. I noticed how powerful the media is, and it was crazy. I was so interested in it, and in that moment, I searched for an opportunity to become an intern at a TV station in San Diego, and that's how I went. And I was like, because in order to become a politician, in my mindset, it was like, okay, political science, bachelor's degree, and then law school. But then I got attracted by this media career, journalism, and I saw how I could cause change as well, like in politics, but without going through this extremely difficult law school. And so I said, yeah, let's try it out. And I fell in love with it. And it just went from there, from that internship.
Nice.
Nice. So what was the first I guess story that you ever did or that really caught you? Do you remember what was the first thing you reported on or that you were assigned and you said, "Oh shit, like I really really love this"?
I particularly love covering positive, empowering stories
Okay.
about the Hispanic community,
Which is rare. If it feels like it's rare right now.
it's been rare forever, and that's when I noticed like, okay, this is what I want to do and focus on. But to be honest, also being a reporter means that you have to cover mostly not those kind of stories, but like breaking news, crime, corruption, accidents, deadly accidents. I've seen really horrible stuff. And that's kind of what it's been like. The reality of reporting and journalism. Like in theory, it was like, yes, I could cause change. It'll be awesome. It's like, but then the reality is like, okay, if you're starting off from the bottom, it's like covering local stories, which is mostly, the day's news, what's happening in the day. So yeah.
Have you seen a change from when you started originally to now? Of kind of are you forced to kind of cover different things or like pushed into certain areas instead of reporting, like you said, on the local community to more breaking or crime stuff? Has there been a big change from when you started?
Yeah, actually, I have noticed. I don't know if it's because of the different companies that I've worked at, but nowadays we don't really cover really horrific stories. Like before, I used to hear a lot, if it bleeds, it leads. Like it opens up the newscast. If it's something like that. And I did cover a lot of that in the beginning of my career. But lately, no. And I don't know if it's because of the company that I work at now or if it's just the shift, in the media industry. But I guess it makes sense. Like covering that, it's kind of just morbid and it's not really benefiting a lot to the community. It's not really informing much. It's just emotive. It's like, look, there's blood and there's crime. This happened, and so I guess and I like that.
So you're
I like the change.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
I was about to say the blood and the crime. I was like, wait.
But
We know who watches now Netflix documentaries.
Yeah.
But man, that's pretty traumatic, huh? Like I don't know. For me, like I don't like that stuff.
well, but to be honest with you, I hate watching the news now because, and I'm not saying your channel, I'm saying in particular, because most of the times all you see is the negative stuff, and it's like, God damn, like. But at the same time, it's important because if there's shootings, you want to know about them, or if there's like a serial killer, like I think there was
Up north.
there was a serial killer reporting.
I think he just got arrested, or
I haven't watched it since. I just
think
heard
so.
it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. That's why I don't want to watch them. But at the same time, it's like, well, then if you don't get informed, then
You gotta know
how are
this
you gonna know? You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's like it's just a double-edged sword where it's damn if I do, damn if I don't.
Yeah, I think the bigger issue right now is obviously people feel that they're being lied to more than anything. I think that's what it is. Maybe not in our community, like the Hispanic Latino community. I think it's a little different. Like the news, I don't think they're as biased as some of, like, you got your Fox and you got your CNNs, where they're like boom, completely on opposite spectrums. I think in our community, like our channels in our community in the Spanish-speaking news, it keeps it more local and keeps it more in touch with the community of, the Hispanics and Latinos. So
Well, I think social media, or just in the past 10, 15 years, phones have increased in technology. So I'm pretty sure, news companies back in the day or newscasts would report whatever they felt. But I think social media might have changed that, right? Because if he goes on and he's straight up lying about something, but there's 100 people with cameras around reporting something different, then he's gonna look bad, and it's gonna show that he has no integrity and no what is it called? Not integrity. There's the other word. Where basically people are not gonna believe him. You know what I'm saying? And so, how has that changed? I mean, have you seen that? Has that affected the way you guys report?
Definitely. Going back to a little bit of what we were saying about the gore and the blood, unfortunately, I think that was what it was traditionally like, and those were the stories that were covered, because, in all honesty, people really like to see that, and the ratings go up.
Yeah.
So, for some reason, we're just attracted to those kind of stories as humans, I guess. But yeah, there was no benefit to the community, so that's been changing. And with what you're saying with the social media, that's completely changed and transformed our industry. And it's still changing. Who knows how it's gonna be, but like you said, everybody has a camera, everybody has a way of kind of just communicating what's going on. People don't really depend on TV anymore. But I think there's also this like stigma against traditional media like TV stations. And we get called out for being like fake news and all that, because a lot of people have access to a phone and can go live from anywhere, doesn't mean they're being honest. Like, yeah, they're showing what's going on in that moment, and that's great. That's definitely important. But also, they're mostly, I mean, it depends on the story. I don't know what I'm trying to get at, but it's
just a piece of the story,
it's just
right?
a piece of the story.
A point of view.
There you go. You got it. Because as journalists or TV reporters, you just have to cover more, not just that one situation. You have to cover, because lawsuits. If you're at a protest against a company, yeah, it's great to cover what's going on outside with the workers and all. But if you don't cover the other side of the story, you'll get sued, or maybe it's just a whole conspiration against the employer or whatever. You know,
It seems biased.
It seems biased.
At that point, you're like, oh,
exactly.
This news channel only focuses on this. They're not taking care of an actual story. They're just being one-sided.
Yeah, and thankfully, I've been always very I've always experienced from the places where I've worked, like you have to be unbiased. So even though people say news is fake, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's situations where certain companies or TV stations are not doing the right thing, but from my experience, thankfully, I haven't seen that. Nobody's ever told me like, no, only cover this or don't cover that, or no.
I have a question. I don't think it's a dumb question.
Oh, you're gonna do the dumb questions today?
Nah. But like, just, you're talking about biased and kind of reporting. Have you ever felt like you had to put your feelings aside when you're covering something?
Yeah, pretty often, because when you cover, I always think about one of the first stories that I ever covered, which was when I was actually reporting in TJ. I reported in Mexico for a little bit in Tijuana, and it was like a horrible accident. Like the whole family crashed. They were in this car and they crashed, and everybody was just laying there. Their bodies were laying there. I just had to be very, I just had to inform of what was going on, but it was shocking, like, to see that. You're like right there. So, I don't know. Did that answer your question?
In a way, yeah, it did. Oh. I think I was like more leaning, especially like right now, how like it feels like everybody's being pushed to certain directions. You have to agree or disagree. Like, I feel like personally, like, he knows I have strong opinions about certain things. We debate all the time.
Yeah, we disagree on a lot of things, but we agree on a lot of things sometimes too.
So sometimes it's like, okay, like, I have to put my personal feelings on the side. Or even we like when we had guests, there's certain topics that I kind of want to push forward, but I have to put my feelings aside for kind of just to allow everything to flow freely. So that was kind of more my question, especially when you're covering certain things. I don't want to get too...
Give me an example.
Okay. Like recently, like with the whole LA Council and everybody that's going on, I know you have to cover certain things, but obviously there's certain issues that might anger you or make you feel a certain way. And it's like you kind of have to put that away and focus on what you have to do as your job.
Yes, yeah, that happens too. Specifically about that issue, uh, I've interviewed these individuals that were in that private conversation, and it was very shocking to me. Even though a lot of the community members have said, like, no, it's not shocking because we've seen how, for example, I heard members of the Oaxacan community say that Gil Cedillo was actually against creating the Day of the Indigenous People or something like that. Like he voted against that, and so it wasn't shocking to them that he would engage in this conversation. But for example, I would often interview Kevin De Leon and Nuri Martinez, and specifically Nuri Martinez. She seemed very passionate about her work, and she was very, she would always speak to us in Spanish to the, Hispanic media, and I feel like she would really work for the community, for the Hispanic community, and unfortunately, these comments were made, and everybody's enraged right now. But sometimes I do want to say, like, to me it is shocking because I seen them work. I mean, specifically her. She just seemed very, very authentic, that she wanted to help out the community. But I can't really say that right now because it's like everybody would attack me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But everybody has different experiences. That's just how my perception was. Kevin De Leon, I would see him in a lot of Latino events. Yeah. So, yeah, it was really horrible what they said. I just honestly hope that even though they said those nasty things, I hope that it was like very separate from their legislation and their work. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah, because now people are going to start questioning everything they've ever done because of those comments.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. That sucks, especially because they're part of our community, So it's like, it sucks because we want to see our people prosper, especially in those positions. So.
Yeah. It was crazy, though, is like, I don't want to bring him up, but they're not humanizing them. They're just, they're holding them accountable, period. And look back at our president, our ex-president.
Which is fair. They can be held accountable, but you have to be fair across the board and hold everybody accountable.
Like, of course.
You know what I mean? Because for, like you said, our former president, nobody held him accountable. He was saying things much worse. So it's like, where was the hate? And I get it, and that's a whole bigger issue. And I know that you were going to talk about it right now, but...
Well, I just didn't want to bring him up, but it goes back to that, so...
Yeah. Well, I heard also that it hurts more when it comes from your people. And that makes sense,
Yeah.
That makes sense, because you expect them to really support, our community. And then when you hear them say this stuff, it's like, oh, what? Like it was hypocrisy or what,
You were going to say something. I heard you.
No, it's just, it sucks, bro, because we have to be honest. Our community, like, I'm Mexican-American, so you say you're Mexican-American, right? Mm-hmm. Mexican-American. I don't want to speak for all the Mexican-Americans, but in my experience, no nos ayudamos uno al otro. Siempre estamos hating each other, you know what I mean? Si haces algo bueno, for example, my brother, I got a brother and I love my brother, but le digo algo bueno, hey, hice esto, oh, bro, I did this shit. Oh, dog, look, I did this. ¿Y ya te crees? That's his answer.
Oh, yeah.
¿Y ya te crees? And I'm like, no, motherfucker, I'm telling you, like, you should be happy for me. ¿Y ya te crees? That's his answer. So our community does that most. I'm not going to lie. I've done it. I myself have done it. So that's what we have to fix. You know what I mean?
But even in our culture too, we're also stereotypical.
That's true.
We stereotype even people within,
Even
our own. Yeah.
within our own community.
So those are things that definitely have. I think they are changing. You know, it's generational, but they're still.
But it's still a long ways before there's major change.
Because there's people in Mexico that are racist towards people from Mexico.
Yeah.
And it's
well, look at. I'm gonna bring this up because I'm excited. Black Panther coming out. Right? We got Tenoch, who's gonna be playing Namor, and obviously the biggest complaint. I mean, I'm a comic book freak. He's a comic book freak. I don't know how you feel about comics. People are complaining about Namor not being true to the Atlanteans and shit, and why do they have to make it Hispanic to cater to the Hispanic community? Well, that's a different story. But I remember at the Comic-Con in San Diego, he came out and he said, you know, thank you for inclusion, right? And people started complaining about that. People said, oh, you know what? They only hired you because of your color and not because you actually are talented. And it's like, bullshit. This guy, have you seen him in Narcos and shit?
Yeah.
I mean, he has talent. And he's from Mexico DF, right? He's from DF. And he's brown, and people are saying that's the only reason you got hired.
He actually talks about it.
Yeah.
Being brown, that dark, and being Mexican, that people within the city and within his community even
he's always been
are racist towards him. Yeah. So he brings a lot of awareness to that. I know me and you were talking about it, and we were excited when he got announced, and he got emotional a little bit for representation, and
I mean, we got 3 Mexican actors up there. The other 2 are Mexican too. I thought she was Filipina at first, but no, she's from Mexico, definitely. And you know, it's a good thing, not just representing the Mexican community, but the Hispanic community. You know, because we don't get that many big roles.
Yeah.
So
and it's a start.
But answer me this: I'm not sure. I'm not too familiar with that comic book story or whatever. But are they going to be the bad guys?
No.
He's an anti-hero, I guess you can say. So sometimes he's a good guy, sometimes he's a bad guy. But he's a bad guy because he protects his people.
Yeah. Okay. So he's going to feel like the story, I don't know, I haven't read into it because he likes to spoil
I got the spoilers, so if you want them.
I don't want spoilers. He already spoiled. He knows everything that's going to happen. Yeah, I don't like spoilers either. But what it's being presented, something happens to his people underwater, and he must defend them from the Wakandans. So that's why he's gonna go attack them. But there's somebody masterminding it behind it. Yeah. And I mean, there's a lot of speculation. Some people are saying Dr. Doom. I know we're talking comics right now and shit, but it's just it ties into political shit. It ties into world.
Almost definitely.
Excuse me. Sometimes conflicts are not what they seem. Sometimes conflicts between countries, some other third party started it, and it's the same thing. Basically the same concept.
Well, kind of what happened right now with the whole city council.
Yeah.
Somebody released this video right before elections. Yeah. Somebody's, had this plan, and it was something. It's working out for them.
That's true.
Because now the Hispanic community is like enraged with each other. We're like against each other right now.
And you know what? And I'm not, like, again, I know you work for the media, and I know you work for TV, and now we're going to get into, I guess, conspiracy theories. I have my own conspiracy theory, okay? And again, I'm not saying it from your channel. I'm just saying in media in general. Right when the election was happening, I have a theory that when something big is about to happen politically, media is used to sidetrack people's minds.
Most definitely.
And why do I say that? I don't think this one's tied into that one. I remember there was a conflict in Kyrgyzstan, or I can't even say it. Mm-hmm. Something was happening in this weird country. Okay. And it was right before an election. I can't remember if it was this one or Obama. And people were obviously in the mix of the political agenda. And all of a sudden, right before election, this little country got attacked, and all the medias were focused on was that. And I'm like, who the fuck is this country? You know what I'm saying? Like, never heard of it. I had to go on Google and look it up. I'm like, oh shit, it exists. And then right after the election, no more. That was gone. And so the same thing happened, I think, with in this last election. There was what happened? Was it the bombing? Something happened But again, my conspiracy theory is that news media sometimes gets used to sidetrack what's going on politically,
By the
That could
people.
happen.
so that people change their focus, and it's like, oh shit, maybe forget about voting, or I don't know. That's just my thing, and I'm not blaming you.
Could
I hope
happen.
I just feel that sometimes that's what and it happens. I mean, it's been happening since I can remember. So,
Yeah.
anyways, conspiracy theory, guys, is October.
I know it.
It's Halloween time. You know, I like to talk
And we're
about
gonna have
shit.
to do a segment for you just on conspiracy theories too.
Hey,
now.
shit. I believe in conspiracy theories. So,
I know you do.
I wanted to go back. I know you mentioned you started in Tijuana, doing media, right? Reporting. How long ago was this, if you don't mind me asking?
That was in 2011. 2011, yeah.
Okay.
Towards the end of 2011.
Reason I'm asking, as you're aware, Mexico, reporting in Mexico is it's not a good thing. Being a journalist or a reporter, did that have any effect on you? Were you ever in fear, like, oh shit, like I'm reporting in Tijuana, and maybe you might not have been reporting on anything bad or anything with the narco side, but just being a reporter was what is it called? You had a target on your back, right? Mm-hmm. So did that affect anything or the way you reported, or did you just say I'm not?
No, I mean, thankfully, the attacks against journalists wasn't that big back then. At least it wasn't that it wasn't happening. Thankfully, when I was there, as much, I guess. But I mean, just from common sense, like I think we would avoid, speaking about certain like nauticals or.
Gotcha.
I don't quite remember, but thankfully I didn't have a bad experience at all. Like, in fact, I'm a strong believer that TJ has like a really bad reputation, but it's not that bad. I mean, might be just because I'm biased and I love TJ because my family's there. But tourists, a lot of tourists go to TJ.
Yeah.
And a lot of good people, good families live in TJ, hardworking people, and they have normal lives. Yes, there's violence, and there's violence here too. Mm-hmm. And I just feel like the whole city gets stigmatized when something happens, and
True. And
it's usually not even like in the actual city. It's like in the outskirts,
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I feel about TJ, and I had a pretty good experience there, thankfully.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask because I read a lot. I don't want to talk about them, but
Yeah.
I read a lot about. I've always been interested in that culture, not because I want to be part of it, but just
Which culture?
the narco culture.
It's just a conspiracy theory, not a cold comedy. It's like the whole.
I've read some books from what's her name, Anna,
Noel Hernandez?
Hernandez. Yes, I've read a couple books. Los Hijos del Narco. There's the other one where something del Señor. I can't remember. It's with El Chapo. So I know that she's been threatened, and she has death threats on her. But then again, she's fucking uncovering everything that about the narcos. So I just didn't know if it was just a long, all journalists, or is it just if you're really into that, then you might have more of a threat.
That could be it. If that's your beat, if you're covering nautical stories, or you're probably more of a target.
Cool.
But I wasn't that kind of journalist or reporter back then. I don't think I would be because it's dangerous, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, when I was there, I didn't experience a lot of the nautical culture. But I know it's there, unfortunately, and I kind of see it like, and this is my very personal my opinion. The nauticals are kind of like businessmen, right? they had their own this industry of, well, now it's more diversified and there's all kinds of drugs, but it was mostly, weed, I guess, right? For a long time. The U.S. got really smart and they legalized it, or at least a lot of states here in the United States. But in Mexico, they haven't done that, and that's why it's still kind of just anarchy, and that's why there's violence. But if they would legalize, and that I believe that if they would legalize it and control that, huge black market, they would just be very successful businessmen, and of course they wouldn't have to go to violence, or there would be legal ways of doing stuff.
Yeah, very true.
But like I said, I didn't see for myself, narco violence when I was there. But then recently, I don't know if you guys heard about those cars that were burned, the taxis.
Oh, that's right.
So that also makes me think, like, okay, they're definitely there, even though you don't see them.
Well, there's a big thing, right? I don't know if it's the same one you're talking about, where there was like a big concert in Rosarito, I believe it was, and they captured someone, I believe, and they started burning cars on the highway, and they even closed the border for that day and that night. So
That Baja Fest.
the Baja Fest, yes.
Yeah, and I don't know if I didn't really read much into it. I don't know if they caught someone, but I know that there was they were burning taxis because of something. It was some sort of a protest against the government, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, plus intimidation.
Yeah.
I mean, if you are a citizen and you see this shit going on, you're like, oh man, I'm not even gonna go out. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand that, because that affects the economy, which in turn, money that goes to them. I've heard, I've read some, well, not read, I've seen it on Vice, where Acapulco or certain tourist cities, beach cities in Mexico, they're fucking killing left and right, and the resorts are empty, and then they're going to extortion local businesses, and the business is like, well, fuck, how do you want me to pay you? I'm not making money. Well, no shade, you ain't making money because there's no tourists. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So I would think that as a business model, don't fuck with the tourism, because the tourism is what pays you if you're extorting money. I don't know. It's just, but anyways, I don't want to talk about that because.
But I've been to Acapulco actually about a couple years ago, and it already had that image that violence had taken over, that no tourism was there, and I saw it like a normal tourist city, to be honest. Same with Cancun. It's been experiencing a lot of crime recently, but it's packed with tourists still. Yeah, I think Mexico is just such a beautiful country. People don't really care or believe of what's going on,
or they think staying within the grounds of their hotel or it's fine.
Because I feel like that's kind of the way it is even here in LA.
True.
Unfortunately, there's crime in certain neighborhoods, really bad stuff. Skid Row. Mm-hmm. Tourists don't go there.
That's true.
They stick to the nicer areas or safer areas.
That's true.
So, same with other.
I'm sorry. There's a conspiracy too, Mike.
What's up?
When I was in Cabo San Lucas, people were telling me a lot of people left Acapulco that worked in the tourist field, and they went over to Cabo San Lucas. They were saying a lot of the resorts over here or in other places are actually owned by narcos and cartels.
They were in Cabo?
Yeah, well, no, just in all over the beach cities, pretty much.
Gotcha.
In touristy places, obviously not like the Hyatts and the American ones, but like the other ones that there are. So it wouldn't make sense for, like you said, it's a business model, not for them not to actually.
So invest in it. It's more money.
Let's shift gears, man, because I want to live. I want to continue living.
Exactly.
No, we're not talking about nobody in particular. We're talking about reporting and
And I think that's a lot of it conspiracy theories, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because Latinos, we love. You can see it from history. We love telenovelas. We love making.
We love
stories,
the drama.
Yeah.
Well, we gotta blame Telemundo, right? Because Telemundo that's where Primer Impacto was born, right?
No,
Was that 34?
Univision.
Univision? I could have sworn Enrique Gratas was on Telemundo. Wasn't Enrique Gratas on Telemundo?
I'm not sure.
Well,
was.
I know there's a channel. 52 and 34, I gotta blame both those two. Those are Telemundo and Univision. But there's one that's worse that I don't.
He is a novelero, actually. He is a
I
novelero.
used to watch novelas.
We all did when we were growing up. Come on.
What's your favorite novela?
I remember when I was little, I think I liked Soñadoras.
Soñadoras? Mine was Corazón Salvaje, the original.
Oh, wow.
With
La Fea Más Bella, that's a good one.
This was young too.
I don't remember any of those. Huh?
Yeah, La Corazón
Which
Salvaje.
one was yours?
I can't remember. The only ones I remember are like the generic ones, like Dos Mujeres Un Camino.
Oh, that was a good one.
Which one? My mom used to watch Luz Clarita.
No.
And then the other one, I forgot the other one. I forgot the one where she falls and scars her face up. I don't know.
The last one I watched was the one with the ex-Mexico president, his wife, where they work in the tequila.
Was she like the La Dueña? Is that what it's called?
No.
Oh, Destilando Amor?
Destilando Amor. That's the last one I watched, yeah. That shit got me, I'd never seen it. We came down to visit my mom, and she was watching it, and it was like one of the hot scenes. Like, not like sex scenes.
Look how excited he gets.
No, not the sex scenes. It was like, they were like, te voy a matar, blah, 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 right? And I was like, what the fuck's going on here? And I just sat there and I watched it, and I got intrigued by the whatever they were beefing about. And ever since, went back home and I watched it, finished it. So, anyways.
No, I haven't seen novelas in a long time, but
Yeah.
That's another thing. There's a conspiracy theory that novelas, are responsible for the Latino countries suffering financially, because you've heard that, right?
I've never heard of that.
I've never heard that one either. I'm curious.
They're saying that the novelas teach the people to just, believe that there's going to be a Prince Charming to get you out.
I believe that. I'll agree with that. That a lot of women, no, I don't believe that what they're telling us, but I agree with you that a lot of people believe what the novelas are telling them. Especially, women don't hate me, but a lot of women want their Prince Charming, and they compare their man to these hunky hunks. You know what I'm saying? It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. But that's been going on even in Hollywood for years. That's just
That's
stories.
true.
I mean, even the kids they want to, like they watch a Disney princess and they want to be a princess. So I mean, it's
So that's like Disney for adults.
Yeah, that's there you go.
That's crazy.
Speaking of dramatic, like, I got a question. Why is it that I don't know, that when you're like a reporter, the voice changes?
I was gonna say that too.
Like the voice and like, gets like a serious tone, and it's kind of like
No, there's people that actually speak like that.
Really?
or very monotone, like very like, like they hit a point, boom, where it's like very soft and then boom.
Estamos aquí.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure you guys know Osvaldo Borraes.
Yes.
He's a long time reporter.
Osvaldo Borraes, aquí estamos.
He speaks like that.
No way.
Yeah.
So we're just tripping them.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you know who I also think? He's not a journalist, but he's a game show host. De 100 mexicanos dijeron. Tiene curly hair y tiene la nariz. Estamos aquí.
Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking
And
about.
I'm like, what the fuck? Do they really talk that way? Because I got a joke.
Something, right?
Yeah. I got a joke, bro, that I used to do growing up. It's somebody taught it, and I'm gonna say here where you would prank call somebody, because I used to prank call people, and you would change your voice, and you would act like. So it goes like this. Let me say it. It goes, buenas tardes, ¿cómo está? And, oh, no, bien, right? Le estamos llamando aquí de Casa Linda Furniture. Remember Casa Linda? It was a local.
In LA.
Yeah,
It was like the deer dens.
It was like the deer dens of here, yeah. So, estamos hablando de Casa Linda Furniture para avisarle que ha ganado una lavadora y una secadora. ¿Quiere ganársela? And you're like, yeah, the fucking people say, yeah, right? And you would be like, solo tiene que repetir las siguientes frases. Lava lavando, seca secando, vieja pendeja, la estoy vacilando.
Oh my God. You're horrible.
You should have let them repeat it before you hung up.
Did they ever repeat it?
No, because I would hang up. So,
you do a really good, TV voice.
I don't know. Do I?
You should be voiceover right there. There you go.
No, it's one of my jokes for people that are on TV, because I did think that a lot of people change their voice. Aquí estamos reportando desde, it's like, but you're saying it's not, so.
Some don't. I do, I think, a little bit, because you just want to sound like more serious and more, different, but
That's crazy.
I guess it depends on the people. On the
Yeah,
person.
he beat me to the personal question. I was ready to ask. I was like, hey, do you have a voice that you make? But
So we're talking about the voice and all that. So you kind of get into character then, right? Before you go on, is that, do you actually do that?
Maybe in the beginning.
Now it's just natural.
Yeah, I think eventually you just start to be natural, because I guess you can tell when it's forced on air.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because I mean, I still get nervous when we start the show every time.
Yeah.
So for me, it still feels weird. And these are not even like actual cameras, you know. They're like,
No, they're cameras.
well, yeah, but
I don't get nervous only because I like to talk a lot. I'm a talker, so excuse me. It's just the only thing I do care about is like the angles and shit. Like, okay, but anyways, I guess this is kind of like media, right?
Yeah, in a way.
It's definitely media.
We're asking the questions. You're on the other side now. You're on the hot seat. But
And it's crazy now how social media has so much reach.
that's true.
Yeah, it's really mind-blowing.
And speaking of social media, you're actually pretty big on social media as well. A lot of your posts, you like to not just talk about the media, but you also talk about the Mexican culture, Mexico, and a lot of things going on. I was able to see the one about the Canelo belt and things like that. So that's pretty cool what you're doing there as well.
Thank you. Yeah, it's my passion, I guess you can say. Like I said, since the beginning, I've been my dream was to cause positive change in the community. And I think it's inspiring to focus on these stories that unfortunately sometimes don't make it on the to the traditional media. So that's what I do on TikTok, and it's been doing very well. A lot of people are interested in those stories. That tells you a lot. I don't know if it's generational. I don't know if it's our generation that just wants to focus and highlight the positive work we do, because it's crazy. Even with like the past few years, the president, talking smack about, the community.
Yeah.
And we were just so used to hearing this and not the good stuff.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's when it started, actually. It was in pandemic, I think. Yeah. Started doing these videos, and a lot of people liked them and shared them and said how grateful they were that I was, highlighting the good stuff. And so I continue doing it.
I think that's what it is. I think you're highlighting and you're teaching things that we wouldn't be able to learn. I mean, I would have never known those things, Like when you're talking about that, I think you did one on Tenoch too, right? On Neymar as well. Mm-hmm. You did one on him as well. Yeah. And you highlighted a lot of things. I was like, oh, damn. Like those are things that, like, did you know one of them was the Canelo belt? It was made in Oaxaca, right?
Yeah.
The belt was actually made in Oaxaca. So there's a lot of things, like, who would have looked at that and been like, oh, man, you know what I mean? Unless you're actually from the region, but still, like, highlighting things like that, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
There's just so many beautiful things about our culture that we completely forget about. And how are we not going to be proud of our culture?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, I just think there's so much in our culture we have to be extremely proud of and focus on that, not on the negative stuff, because like you said, our own people, sometimes we bring each other down, and we have to change that.
Yeah.
I was at the Ford yesterday, at the Ford Theater. Angela, she dances folklorico. My daughter dances folklorico. So she had a big performance there, and, they go by regions. Man, just a show, and it just shows you how beautiful, like, the culture, the dresses, the colors, the dances, like.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel proud for being, Mexican and just experiencing all that. It's pretty dope.
Yeah, sometimes I go on YouTube and where my mom's from, in Michoacán, in a little pueblo, they now they have a YouTube channel. Because there's a guy that records and posts videos, o las fiestas cuando pasan. And obviously when I was little, cuando íbamos para allá, se ven la fiesta es el 8 de diciembre. I think it's that. And then they go around, le toca a una cierta parte del pueblo, and then they have to go around and tienen los que andan bailando. No sé cómo les llaman porque están
It's gonna be the guy that went viral with the the no se va.
Nah, but so it's cool, yeah, because each region, even within its own state, has their own dances.
Yep.
You know, and it's like that's crazy.
Yeah.
It's pretty dope.
Dude, I'm obsessed with that song, by the way.
I know, right? It's
that
I was
viral
telling our song guy, like, because he works with me, and sometimes we just throw it on. It's just like
What song?
the no se va.
It's a
my voice is
viral
messed up.
video,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I never
this
seen.
dude dancing.
Yeah, it's that song, dude. It's just catchy. It's just catchy.
And you can see, even from just that video, like, people in Mexico, I think it was in Chihuahua that was
Yeah, it was
recorded, they seemed happy dancing and, like, celebrating, even though they might not be the richest city, the richest country financially, but people are happy and they're dancing and it's beautiful. I don't know. Like, let's focus on that.
That's true. That's true. And you have experience because you grew up like in right on the border, so you saw both sides. And sometimes you look at the people that don't have a lot and they're happy,
Yeah.
and then you come over here and it's like, are we fulfilled? You know, like we're not happy, we're not fulfilled, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta be kind of careful with what you wish for, because unfortunately, for example, many of the immigrants that come to this country in search of the American dream, they're just so hardworking and they're struggling to provide to their families. And then unfortunately, sometimes their kids, their American kids, just go the wrong way and end up doing bad things. And it's like, really, you can't just think about it. Was it worth it to come to this country far away from your family, from your roots, trying to better or improve your kids' lives, and it just turns out the other way? That's horrible, right?
It's another stigma we need to change too. The mentality of the hard work. We've talked about it with a lot of guests actually about that. That it's just work, work, work. But I think that coming over here, it's like that working hard and providing material things is the answer, when sometimes it's not. You know, sometimes, especially, I know we're lacking that emotional connection to our parents, to our fathers, to our mothers, and sometimes that's important too. And it's a generational thing too, obviously.
Don't you think that it's also the fact that, like, coming from the Mexican culture, living in Mexico, and then coming here, like, it's such a culture shock. This is a different country.
It's a generational change. That's what I'm saying. It has to be.
Well, but I'm saying it's also a cultural, because it's a mashup of different ethnicities.
Yeah, that's true.
And everybody does things differently. And when you get, like, for example, my kids are one's in junior high and one's in high school. And they're both, they're living their own world of junior high and high school, different than what I went through, and I grew up here. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So that, even that right there is like, what the fuck? Like, how much different is it? And I would assume that coming from Mexico or any other country, and then you come to the greatest country in the world, where there's a lot of opinions, a lot of ethnicities, a lot of everything, a lot of cultures, you would kind of be confused. You know what I mean? And I think that's that, and the generational gap between mis papás, que ellos crecieron a certain way, la mente de rancho, ¿me entiendes? Por un
They had
tiempo.
to work since they were like 12. You know,
Exactly.
like, so it's like that's all they know.
Exactly. So,
That's crazy.
anyways, that's
So I'm curious, Chris. I need to know a little bit behind the scenes stuff before you guys actually go on live. You were telling us before we started that as a reporter, you kind of get the information and you kind of have to process it and put it together the same day, right?
Yeah, most of the time. We have very limited time to work on the piece, but yeah, we get the story assigned in the morning, per se. We just have to make calls and coordinate interviews, or go to wherever the protest or crime happened, or wherever the story is taking place. We go there. Yeah, that's kind of how it works.
Okay.
It's gotten easier ever since the pandemic, because it's more acceptable to do interviews via Zoom. Before that, you had to go in person. Sometimes you had to interview Sisko in Azusa, and then Mike in South LA, and it was like far.
Yeah.
But now it's like kind of okay to do one of the interviews in via Zoom, or even both, because sometimes you just had to run all over the place. But yeah, that's how it works.
It just seems a little hectic. Like every time I've seen like news vans and things I see, I just see everybody like moving around and kind of hectic, and the person with the lights holding another person's getting ready, trying to like, put things together. So
sometimes it's hectic. It's not always like that.
Okay.
But it's kind of cool when it's like that, because you your adrenaline going. It's an experience. Sometimes it's just a very chill story, and I don't want to say it might sound bad, but it could be a boring day, But yeah, I guess as reporters, you kind of just want excitement.
Yeah. How does it work to get to a story? Do you guys get called in, or like competition wise, to get to the story first before any other news station? Is it like
he's watching too much Anchorman?
No, I haven't even seen that movie. I was thinking of Scary Movie. You know Scary Movie?
Yeah.
When they all show up, and then they got we're reporting blah 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 blah, and then they get to the black reporters. So it's kind of like who got there first, or what's her name? When she's telling the guy like, let's go around the back. And so how is that? Is it like is it very competitive to get to a news story, or?
I think it used to be more. Now I think we've learned that journalists out there in the field, we're kind of colleagues. Like we're all in search of the same thing, and we help each other out a lot sometimes.
It's interesting.
Because we're in this together, and yeah, I mean, we already have our audience. People are gonna watch CBS or NBC or ABC or Telemundo or Univision. It doesn't really matter who gets to the story first. I mean, yeah.
Cool.
You recently just
But I think that might be a younger journalist mentality. Maybe the older generations think differently.
True.
And I think they are a little more competitive for sure. Now that I think about it.
Well, I mean, it's like anything else, right? They want to get there first. You just covered Joe Biden being here, right?
Yeah, actually, in the West LA Veteran Affairs area.
Okay.
It was right next to the buildings of the Veteran Affairs.
Okay.
He was there.
How crazy was that? How hectic, or how like the security and
They close on streets, bro.
Oh, I know that. I know that they close on.
Because a lot of the presidents would go visit us when I worked at the VA in West LA.
Yeah.
They go there all the time, and they even us like we can't leave until he leaves. So pretty fucking hectic.
That's crazy.
I seen them cruise on the freeway once. The Caravan, it's like a shitload of cars in front, a shitload of cars. Freeway's empty on their side. That's pretty crazy.
I'm not sure how it happened this time. Probably that way. They closed streets down for sure. But we weren't at the Veteran Affairs premises. We were at a construction site because they're building the Metro Purple Line. And so he was there. He was like thanking the construction workers, and that was kind of a photo op event, you can say. He didn't really take questions from the media, but it was cool to see him. Yeah, it was my first time seeing a president actually from up close. That was pretty awesome. I didn't like the fact that there was no like water bottles for the, because sometimes at these media events, you kind of, I don't know. It just kind of makes sense. If you want the media to cover something that you're doing, you're going to try to, like, oh, come on, guys, reporters, look, here's water bottles at least.
Accommodate people,
So the president didn't give you guys anything?
Before it used to be even more, because the reporters and the media was so important. That was the only way of getting a message out.
Yeah.
Before social media. So it was like they would go all out, like with pastries and just great service. But now, ever since social media, it's like, oh, they're just TV reporters. The bathrooms were like super dirty. You were like, wait, isn't this a presidential event? Like,
Yeah,
At least expect clean restrooms.
That's true.
that's crazy.
That was what I thought. But it's still a cool experience to see him close up.
Okay.
What do you think? What do you think is the future of now that you're talking about the future of media? Like as far as for like networks and stuff like that, do you think at some point they're just gonna kind of go away from the traditional sense and kind of make it more short clips or social media things, or do you think it's gonna continue? For example, newspapers. I know newspapers. A lot of newspaper companies closed down because they weren't able to transition or keep up. So
I don't think, because people used to think like, oh, newspapers, that industry's gonna die. Same with TV, same with radio, and I don't think it's entirely dead. It just, like you said, transitioned and transformed. I'm not really sure how TV is gonna work out. I personally still watch TV. I don't know about you guys, probably not.
no, yeah, I still do.
I still do.
Like regular TV channels.
Yeah,
Certain channels, yeah.
Okay. Maybe because we're on the older side.
yes.
I don't know about the younger generations.
It's all streaming.
You don't watch TV? A lot of people don't watch TV.
It's all streaming. They'll stream like a channel or a show or whatever.
But I watch CBS or NBC. And
Fox.
I watch the channels that let me watch them for free.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Certain channels, they went over to the paid subscription side. I'm not gonna pay for that. But like Univision, I used to watch it all the time. Now they want you to pay for it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they have the Univision network, and then I like the soccer, so me gusta la América. Right, we just won yesterday, 5-1. We're in the semifinals. Anyways, me gusta ver la América, and obviously Channel 34 los pasa más, and not anymore.
And you know what? You've actually touched a very interesting point. They're saying, I've heard, that sports is like keeping TV alive. Because otherwise people wouldn't watch TV anymore.
Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. That's just what I've heard.
On like local networks, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, news, you can get it from anywhere, social media, whatever now. Yeah, certain events like sports, the Olympics, that's always going to be on TV. I still listen to radio in the car, and I know that's super rare too. People just go on.
I can't do that anymore. I can't listen to the
If
radio.
I'm driving 4, yeah, I'll listen to Power 106 or.
But you only get a certain amount before it starts going away. If you're going far. Oh, you mean
gotta,
like
yeah, you got to change it.
yeah,
to
you
another-
gotta scan.
Yeah. Well, I listen to Don Cheto,
Okay.
so.
I don't need.
Cheto's funny.
I can't even get Don Cheto anymore. He's not on
You can't.
105.5, right? Like, okay,
Yeah, he's in like a one. I think so.
He's on Kibana.
but it doesn't come out right. Like I get it around here, it's all
You have to
static.
change the channel
To 93.9.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and it's still.
So, anyways, I listen to. You want to move on to the No Manches section?
Yeah.
Okay, No Manches. Did he explain to you what the No Manches section is?
Did you? I don't know.
Okay.
I think I did.
I don't remember.
No Manches section is our section where we each pick something that we say no manches or no mames. It could be something positive. It could be something funny. It could be something sad, whatever.
A pet peeve.
Yeah, pet peeve, something that you no manches.
I'll start it off.
Start off?
Yeah.
And then you just talk about that and just say at the end, no manches, like, why this, why that?
My no manches is motorcycle drivers.
Okay.
Like I know that we have to be more aware for people on motorcycles when they're driving, but some of those drivers, they're just too reckless and it sucks. The other day I'm switching lanes. I have my signal on clearly. I'm switching. I see him way back. He's shooting down, going off fast, right in the in between two lanes. So I'm getting off the carpool lane, right? And you know how they like to go in between that last lane
Well,
and the carpool
they're
lane?
allowed to
Yeah.
splitting lanes.
But I have my signal, and he clearly, like, I'm moving, starting to transition way before he's even near me. And he still goes around me and brakes and flips me off. And it's like, are you kidding me? Like, you saw me, like, I know, but, like, dude, you're coming like 95 miles an hour. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a no manches. Like, there's a lot of freaking motorcycle accidents that we don't see, but it's like, dude, like, relax, take your time, be courteous to everybody else, just like we're being to you. So it's like, come on, no manches.
Yeah. Motorcycle drivers sometimes think that just because they're, in the small vehicle and can maneuver their way, I don't know.
They feel they're entitled to everything, the whole freeway or something.
I don't agree with you on the splitting lanes. I'll admit that. I have friends that have suffered motorcycle accidents, and I've heard their perspectives and their point of views on the whole thing. But at the same time, yeah, I agree with you. Some motorcycle drivers fuck it up for other motorcycle riders. They're not even drivers; they're riders.
I seen a guy breaking a motorcycle. A guy on a motorcycle break a mirror.
Yeah,
because they didn't scoot over.
They do that,
and
so
it's like,
that's how they check you. So if you fuck with them, or they think you're fucking with them, they'll pull up next to you and they'll break your mirror.
No, this guy just didn't scoot over. He was just in his lane normal, but this guy had a big old bike with the shelves on the side. Couldn't make it through, and he got mad. And I'm like, come on, no manches.
I've seen that. I mean, I get it. I agree with you. I don't think that's okay, but they do that. So
that was my no manches.
No manches, Michis riders.
Yeah. Biker boys.
You want to go next, or you want me to go next?
I think I got one.
Okay.
All right. So I don't know if I'm playing right, but I'm just gonna. So businesses, especially the food industry, that doesn't have restrooms or that they put a sign that it's like out of service or they don't want to let the public. No manches.
Yeah.
Like, let us use a restroom. It's such a human need. Like,
Yep.
And reporters suffer a lot with that.
Street, you guys are always out and
We're always
about.
on the street. We try to just, we always got to buy something at these places. At least I do. I don't know. Starbucks or whatever. And a lot of them, even if you buy something, they'll just be like, oh, it's, not working, out of service or no
Employees
restrooms.
only.
Employees only.
I have a theory for that.
Just, what?
Conspiracy theories.
They don't want to clean it?
They don't want to clean it, bro. That's what sucks. But I feel that some do it on purpose. Like, the managers ain't even there. Like, I know I would do that shit if the manager wasn't there.
You would close them down?
If I had to clean the restroom all the time, maybe. And I'm just thinking for them, right? I'm thinking like, okay, these guys are getting paid minimum wage.
But then what does that say? Does it say more about the employees or the people using them? Because remember, one of my no manches was men's restrooms.
That's true.
We're dirty as hell. I don't know why. We just like...
I think
you know what I mean?
It's
Like,
where you live at, bro. Because fuck, we've seen it growing up. You go into a bathroom and you're sitting on a toilet that's full of craters and cracks. Why? Because it's all tagged up on.
tagged up.
It's carved into it, and you're like, fuck, man, my nalgas feel a certain way, right? Why is that? Because it's tagged up.
You get up and it's all written
Yeah, your fucking nalga has
it says somebody's name.
Your nalga says Sur 13, fool, you know what I'm saying? It's crossed out. You're like, what the fuck? So, come on, you got to understand the workers, who fucking likes cleaning toilets? And who likes cleaning shit or piss from a nasty person that doesn't know how to piss in the damn toilet? So, yeah, you're right. No manches. Fuck, I'm eating here. I want to piss.
You sympathize with them.
But I kind of been like, fuck, like.
Yeah. You know what? When I was in high school, I worked at a supermarket, and one time they wanted me to go clean the restroom because someone had actually took a shit like outside the toilet, outside the whole. Like
they just missed that shit completely.
They didn't make it, or they just
did it
they probably did it on purpose, or it was somebody like mentally unstable.
Yeah.
And I was literally making like less than minimum wage because I was like high school, and back then, like, you just got paid whatever.
$7.50, $7.25. I think I remember making minimum wage.
And I was like, no, there's no way. That's gross. And I think I texted I don't remember if we were texting back then. I asked like a family member, like, what should I do this? Because that's just extremely gross. They were like, no, don't. Like, you don't get paid enough. And so I said, I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's I'm kind of a person that always says yes to everything, and so that was big for me. I was like, I'm not gonna do it. I'm sorry. And my manager was like, okay, you can go, just leave. So I didn't get fired, but I think I left. I left for the day. And yeah, you're right. Like, employees shouldn't have to deal with that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
But maybe the higher paid employees, managers. No.
I think the managers should be responsible for it.
Or just hire custodial service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like at night, like hire custodial service or something.
Yeah, but if you have to clean the bathroom
True.
at the beginning of the
Yeah, it was
opening,
like
That's
days.
true.
It was in the day, so.
So
I mean, I have a hard time picking up my dogs. Shit. So it's like, so that I see that's nasty. You know what I mean? So it's like,
you grab it with the little bag and you're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
all warm and mushy.
I got the rake and I got the rastrillo now.
All right.
So what's your no
that's,
manches?
that's a good no manches.
Yeah.
Just-
Mine's a little bit more darker, not darker, but it's kind of sad. It just happened. I just saw it the other day. I think yesterday or 2 days ago. Our food vendors are still being fucked with.
Oh, the one in
And-
Pomona?
I was in Pomona.
The one with the car accident?
The car
Drunk
accident?
driver?
Yeah. No mames, no manches. You can't even go eat tacos now because of fear of. It happened. The reason I'm saying this is because I live in Redlands. Okay, Redlands is pretty rednecky. Like
Okay.
it's freaking. You know where Redlands is at?
No.
Okay, it's next to San Bernardino,
Okay.
and it's one of the most. I think, and people say, one of the most racist cities in that area. But I lived there. I bought a house there, and I was working in Loma Linda, VA Loma Linda at that point. I work from home now for the VA. But anyways, we went to eat tacos maybe like 3-4 weeks ago, me and my daughters. There's this guy that does some bomb-ass birria tacos.
Oh, the one you always talk about.
Yeah, and so we went, and we're standing there, and his car passes by and yells out, "Go back to your country." So just yells it out. And I'm like, I'm getting antsy, right? Because I'm like, oh, fuck, here we go. Like, is this going to be one of those days? Is this car going to turn around? I'm with my 2 daughters. This is the fight or flight response, right? I tell my girls, hey, get in the car. We're still waiting for the tacos because we're taking them to go. And I just started thinking, it's like, what the fuck? Like, go back to your country. Like, motherfucker, we're just enjoying some tacos, you know what I'm saying? Like, chill. Luckily, the dude didn't turn around. I don't know what would have happened. But going back to the story where I said no manches, it's like, you can't even go out to eat. You got motherfuckers plowing, trying to take out people.
I think they were drunk. I think it was a drunk driver. I don't think it was intentional.
It's not the first plowing I hear of a
no.
taco stand.
Yeah.
I've heard other hit and runs. So if he was drunk, okay, but it's not okay. But I'm saying it's still not. It still kind of creates fear in you. You know.
Oh, of course.
Because you don't know where you're gonna be at, and somebody drunk or with wrong intentions wants to kill you.
Yeah. No,
So
that's a no mames because that's
yeah,
really
exactly.
bad.
Yeah, that's
really
extreme.
bad.
Yeah.
So I know I kind of brought it dark. It just happened. So
We're talking about
pissed me off.
restrooms and motorcycles and this kind
What
of
do you guys think about them being armed? Because there's like an organization, my buddy, I don't know if you guys have met him, the Hood Santa.
no.
He's working and giving them like, what is it? Chalecos antibalas.
Oh, he's working with Eden. We had Eden Alex on here.
Okay.
So he's one of the ones that works with the Hood Santa and the council member in Santa Ana. I forgot his name. Jonathan
Hernandez.
Yes. So they work closely together. And
About them being armed themselves?
Well, you're right. They're not arming them, but some people have said like they should be armed.
they're
Yeah.
giving them like pepper
It's
spray.
at that point right now because they're just so vulnerable.
I don't know, because to own a weapon, you have to be
Ooh, we're gonna
Yeah,
we're gonna
you're
get
right,
deep
you're right.
into
That's a bit much, right?
yeah. I think not only that, but mentally, you have to be mentally there. Like, I don't own a gun because I was in the military, and you know, and plus the way I grew up,
Triggered.
yeah, you don't want none of that shit. I don't own a gun because of that, because I know. I'm not saying I don't want to do something with it. It's just for precaution. It's like I'm not mentally stable for that. I don't want a gun.
Yeah.
So who's gonna
Yeah,
vet these
right.
people?
Yeah.
You know, who's gonna be responsible?
I think the biggest thing is training. Even with like pepper spray, you still have to train them properly. With any little thing, you still have to.
Yeah.
Because
Because look at the police officers. They are supposed to protect us, and some of them are trigger happy.
but that's training too. That's a lack of training too. Well, some
Okay,
cases.
but they're supposed to be trained.
Yeah, but they don't do it as often.
I know, but they're supposed to be trained.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting into deeper topics. We're gonna move on to our last section. Our last segment is our
Words of wisdom.
Words of wisdom. This is where you get to tell us our viewers, your viewers, something that you live by. Maybe it could be a saying, it could be something that you do, that our listeners could use in their daily lives to become better, or to just, you know what I'm saying, to live by.
Okay. So, I guess I could just say there's this little short phrase. I'm sure you guys have heard it, but I like it. It's don't mistake my kindness for weakness. Just because you're a nice person doesn't mean, you're weak or you're lame. I think we need more kindness in the world for sure. And I actually just met. I don't know if you guys saw this story, but the suspect that stabbed people in Las Vegas a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
He was in L.A. Before that, a couple days. He actually killed 2 people and injured like 6. And we met him, my photographer and me, when we were covering another story in downtown L.A. We met this guy before he went to Las Vegas and did that. And for some reason, my photographer and me, we were like listening to him. Like, we could tell he wasn't all there. He was, very paranoid. He was saying that the government wanted to kill him and stuff like that. But we still, we heard him. We spoke to him. My photographer, Jorge, even went as far as like, because he wanted us to do a report on him. But we were like covering another story. It's not that easy to just, okay, let's do a report on you. Like,
Yeah.
So what my photographer did was like, okay, I'll record you with my phone, and just started recording him. And that was that. He left. We told him to go get some help at this shelter. And anyways, 2 days later, we find out that he went and stabbed people in Vegas. And we were just thinking like, wow, somebody told us like, the fact that you guys were kind to him and like actually made him feel heard might have avoided a massacre in downtown LA.
Yeah.
That's true.
Because what if he was about to explode, and the fact that you guys were nice to him, like, it just avoided that.
Or you guys. I mean, he could have.
Yeah.
He could have done something to you guys.
Right.
And the fact that you were kind is like, okay.
Could have made a difference. Yeah. Because in Las Vegas, what I heard is that he wanted to take pictures with people, and like they didn't want to take a picture or something like that.
And he
So
snapped.
that's kind of what made him just snap. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard about that, and I was telling my girls, my daughters, I was like, oh, we're gonna go to Vegas maybe next month. I was like, fuck, people are getting stabbed even on the strip. Hell no. Yeah. So
Yeah, we need more kindness, man.
cool.
Most definitely.
Yeah, and then also, I mean, what I've been saying throughout this whole interview, like, just focus on the positive, positive stories about our community. There's a lot of stories. We're very hardworking. We're not even Nuri, Kevin De Leon, and like those. We don't all think that way. We don't all speak that way. We don't all commit crimes or stabbings in Vegas.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, there's, things happen, but it happens in every other culture as well.
Yeah.
It's not just Latinos and the Mexican American community and Mexicanos. We're actually one of the kindest people out there. Like, if you go to Mexico, people are super nice. Yeah. People from other places, from Europe, they're surprised how crazy kind we are. We just try to help and be nice, I think, most of the time.
I think there was a list or something that someone did on the nicest countries or states in the world or something like that. Mm-hmm. Mexico had like 3 out of the top 10 or...
Unless you go to a soccer game, bro.
Hey, but it's better than some of the ones. Have you seen the ones in Europe and Indian people?
Well,
so
yeah. Anyways, we're gonna move on. We want to thank you again for coming on. I know it's Sunday morning. You probably would prefer to sleep in, but we thank you. Let us know, where can people find you. What are your TikTok, your Instagram, stuff like that.
So on all my social media, you can find me as Chris Cabezas TV. in Instagram, I kind of mix both my news reporting and my TikTok, inspirational videos. But so yeah, TikTok is mostly on my inspirational Mexican American community videos. Facebook, same. Chris Cabezas TV. Twitter, same. I hope everybody follows me and kind of just you get the serious news information, but also don't forget that we're good people and we have really great stories to share and to tell to the world.
Yeah,
cool.
And for those stories, make sure you guys go check out Chris, because
I
mean, we learned a lot of interesting facts from your posts. So that's pretty cool, and I'm sure a lot of people out there will learn the same. So
one last question for you before we end this: you like soccer? Oh, you said you didn't like sports.
Yeah, I'm not that huge in sports.
Okay, I was gonna
But
ask
you can ask what?
Galaxy or LAFC?
oh, they play this week.
I think LAFC. I've heard they're better.
Cut it off now.
I'm sorry.
They did finish higher in the seed, but Galaxy just won yesterday, so we're going against LAFC. Let's go Galaxy. We got this shit. We beat LAFC before. LAFC has no championships. We got 5, and nobody better than us right now. So, anyways, I just wanted to end it that way. Thank you again, and good luck on everything that you do.
Thank you, guys. It's awesome plays, and you guys are great people.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Right. And like always, guys, remember, be kind, be human.
All right. Peace out, guys.